For pretty much my whole life, I've been involved in hockey. From minor and junior hockey, officiating, heck, I even drove a Zamboni and made ice for a few years. And I still play the game to this day. I worked video production for Hockey Canada for a few years, including the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, and then was manager of video production for the Edmonton Oilers for 5 seasons. When I helped document the construction of Rogers Place in Edmonton, I developed a fascination on how these buildings come together. I've visited 34 NHL rinks, and after my time in the NHL, I decided to start this YouTube channel to share with you all that I've learned about them. Who knows, you may just learn something new before you head to your next hockey game. I'm Jeff Nash, and this is Rinks Around the League. Now that the Coyotes have seemingly played their last game at Gila River Arena, what's next? Hey everyone, welcome to Rinks Around the League. On this episode, I thought we'd go in a little bit of a deep dive into the history and news of the Arizona Coyotes arena situation. I did one of these on the Calgary Arena Saga, and I thought it would give you a pretty good in-depth look at the history and drama surrounding the arena situation in Arizona. Click on the links to check out that one on Calgary if you're interested. Now let's move on to the Arizona Coyotes and their situation, because boy, if you thought the Calgary situation was complicated and messed up, then buckle up, because the situation in Arizona is arguably the worst in the NHL and probably maybe one of the worst in all pro sports. A little disclaimer here, I poured through tons of articles and videos and I tried to boil it down as simply as I could. So if I missed something, make sure you make notes in the description down below. Let's start back where this all began, because like the Calgary scenario, we must go back to the beginning of the franchise to fully understand where we are today. Hockey fans will know that the Coyotes got their start as the Winnipeg Jets in 1979. But the Jets fell into financial trouble, and a group including business owner Jerry Colangelo, Stephen Gluckstern, and Richard Burke, as well as a local investor, purchased the Jets with the purpose to relocate to a new lucrative market. Early reports thought the Jets were initially planning to move to Minneapolis to replace their loss of the North Stars to Dallas. But eventually the Jets would relocate to Phoenix in 1996. When the Phoenix Coyotes arrived in Arizona, they originally played at the America West Arena, which is still currently the home of the NBA Phoenix Suns, now called the Footprint Center. It was built in 1990 and it opened in 1992 at a cost of $89 million. Its seating capacity was technically 16,210 for Coyotes games. Originally built for basketball, it was quickly reconfigured to accommodate hockey. The tight footprint of the NBA floor meant that the retractable seating had to give way for a full NHL ice sheet in order to fit. This left one side of the rink with a balcony-like seating, which kind of reminded me of what existed at Barclays Center in Brooklyn for the Islanders for a few years. In fact, like Barclays, ice hockey at American West Arena had thousands of obstructed viewed seats, 5,287 to be exact. This meant almost a third of the seats for Coyotes home games had obstructed views. But because of the novelty of hockey in the desert and selling such seats for as low as $10, the Coyotes would still have somewhat of a consistent attendance in its early years in this building. Because of these obstructed seats, they needed to add an additional scoreboard so fans could watch the game. Because of things like this, among other logistical and obvious financial issues stemming from an unfavorable arena lease deal with the city, combined with declining attendance and on-ice performance, resulted in huge financial losses, as much as $40 million at one point. The Coyotes would only play just over 7 seasons at American West. And during their time at America West Arena, the Coyotes really struggled financially and were barely competitive on the ice. Just 3 years after buying the team, Burke and the ownership group sold the Coyotes in 1998 to Steve Ellman, with Wayne Gretzky as part owner and head of hockey operations. The Coyotes would have a very turbulent time in all aspects of the organization in their first home, and things wouldn't really get much better in their new home. Looking for a new home that would benefit the club both on the ice, as well as trying to boost the financial potential of the team, owner Ellman was left to lead the charge of building a new arena. Originally, there were plans to build on the land of a former Los Arcos mall in Scottsdale, but that was met with some political backlash. Ellman turned his attention to Glendale and landed a lease agreement with the city of Glendale to construct a new arena as an anchor venue in a new entertainment district and right next to the eventual new home of the NFL's Arizona Cardinals. The new site was located 18 miles from the city center of Phoenix. Glendale Arena, now called Gila River Arena, opened on December 26, 2003 at a cost of $220 million. Its seating capacity was 17,125. Moving into the Glendale Arena carried with it high hopes that it would bring stability to the organization and the team both on and off the ice. But arguably, the darkest days would lie ahead for this franchise. In 2005, just 2 years into the new arena, Ellman sold the Coyotes to trucking magnate Jerry Moyes. who was also a part owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks of Major League Baseball. Then in 2008 came some very troubling reports that the Coyotes were losing money at such a high rate that the NHL was directly funding the team, and that the NHL had secretly taken over the Coyotes operations. In May of 2009, owner Moyes agreed in principle to sell the Coyotes to a group headed by Jim Basili, who wanted to move the team to Hamilton, Ontario. During the same time, the NHL under Commissioner Gary Bettman came close to selling the Coyotes to Jerry Reinsdorf, owner of the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago White Sox. Owner Moyes put the Coyotes in Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, even going as far as calling the NHL an illegal cartel. I can't fit everything into this video, but needless to say, Bettman was not happy at all that the team was filed for bankruptcy. One of the many striking details that came out of the bankruptcy proceedings in court was the fact that the NHL lost $112.7 million when it operated the Coyotes. Eventually, on November 2nd, 2009, the NHL would pay $140 million to take over ownership of the team. For the next 4 years, potential bidders would come and go, with the NHL agreeing to keep the team in Glendale on the condition that the city would fund its losses. The NHL then announced a December 31st, 2010 deadline to find a new owner. In December, Chicago-based investor Matthew Halsizer led a group and made plans to buy the team that was approved by the NHL based on the conditions with the city of Glendale. But this would eventually fall through in June of 2011 when Halsizer abandoned his bid to buy the team. For the 2011-12 NHL season, the city of Glendale set aside $25 million to keep the Coyotes in Glendale while they hoped to land a new owner. In 2012, they thought they had another owner in Greg Jameson, with the NHL announcing they would have a deal reached within weeks. But again, in November 2012, Jameson stated that he was unable to complete the sale under the terms of the new lease being offered. In May of 2013, during the 2012-13 NHL lockout, a last-ditch effort was made to land a new owner. Reports were out saying that if this deal fell through, the team would move on to Seattle. In a 4-3 vote on July 2nd, 2013, the city of Glendale approved the sale of the team to Renaissance Sports and Entertainment, or RSE, a group of Canadian investors headed by George Gosby and Anthony LeBlanc, who actually tried to purchase the team previously. The financial structure of the sale looked like this: $45 million from RSE, $120 million lent from Fortree Investment Group to be repaid by the fee Glendale taxpayers who were going to pay the team to run the arena, and an $85 million loan from the NHL. But that deal wasn't without its own drama. The NHL essentially gave the city a deadline to approve the deal and did threaten to move the team to Seattle. But in the end, the NHL handed over its ownership to RSE ahead of the 2013-14 season. One interesting clause in the deal was that RSE could relocate the team after 5 years if it accumulated more than $50 million in losses. This change in ownership brought on the name change from the Phoenix Coyotes to the Arizona Coyotes, as they're known today. In 2014, Andrew Barrowe would buy a 51% majority stake in the Coyotes. And that, my friends, was the last bit of news. Everyone rode off in the sunset and everything turned out great. We're not even close. Trust me, buckle up, because this starts to get really insane. But before we dive into things, make sure to hit me up with a thumbs up and a sub, as well as head over to my social channels at _the_rinks on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. There's just so much to go through with this organization, and I'm going to leave links to full articles down below. But to boil the most recent events to a place where we can finally arrive to present day, I'm going to generalize the state of the relationship between the city of Glendale and the Coyotes as really going off the rails starting back in 2015, when deals were renegotiated, rescinded, amended, etc. It's just a lot of back and forth. And while this is going on, there's tons of management movement as well. In general, it's just a mess. In 2016, the Coyotes actually announced plans to build a new arena in Tempe, Arizona, which is on the southeast side of Phoenix, just for reference. This was originally scheduled to be completed for the 2019-2020 season. Original plans would have an adjoined 4,000-seat practice facility that would also double as the new home for the Arizona State University hockey team. You're gonna see a little bit of a theme develop here, so pay attention. This deal would fall through though, with ASU pulling out of the deal in 2017. Also in 2017, Barrowe, who I just mentioned bought 51% of the Coyotes back in 2014, bought out the rest of the ownership group and became the sole owner of the Coyotes. Then in 2019, Barrowe would then sell the controlling interest of the Coyotes to billionaire Alex Marello. We get 2 years to catch our breath before 2021, which leads up to the current state of affairs. Of interest in early 2021 is a Bombshell article from Katie Strang of The Athletic, that depicts the Arizona franchise as an organization with a dysfunctional and toxic work environment. It's reported that the financial woes of the organization were worse than publicly reported. This kickstarted a bunch of events that would support this article. In the summer of 2021, the city of Glendale and the Gila River Arena chose not to renew their operating agreement with the Coyotes beyond the 2021-2022 NHL season. Some people thought that despite hostilities between the city and the Coyotes, some sort of agreement would at least be reached in order for the team to play at Gila River Arena until they could build a new home. But optimists were quickly proven wrong when on December 8th, 2021, the city threatened to lock the Coyotes out of the Gila River Arena on December 20th, and if they did not pay $1.3 million that they owed in taxes. The team paid their bill the very next day, citing unfortunate human errors as the root cause for the non-payment. But you can assume that the city of Glendale only pursued this publicly because they weren't getting anywhere trying to get the deal done internally. On the new arena front, the Coyotes submitted a proposal on September 3rd, 2021 to build a new arena in Tempe at the site of the old solid waste compost yard. The $1.7 billion arena and entertainment complex would have a 16,000-seat arena. The arena would be primarily paid by the Coyotes themselves, which seems interesting coming from an organization seemingly not able to handle $1.3 million in taxes. Now, based on the seating capacity, this means that the new arena would actually be smaller than the Gila River Arena. The city of Tempe still has to vote on this proposal at the time of this taping because it would involve $200 million in tax help from the city. Now, building a new pro sports team stadium in Tempe is nothing new to the people of Arizona. A quick look into the past with the Arizona Cardinals of the NFL saw the team play out of the Sun Devil Stadium on the campus of Arizona State University when the team was relocated to Arizona in 1988. Remember when I said there's a theme going on here? During the 90s, the Cardinals grew frustrated playing in an inferior college stadium and began plans to build a new stadium. One of the plans for a new facility was to build a new stadium in Tempe, very close to the proposed land to be used for the Coyotes' new recent proposal. For the Cardinals, those plans were stalled because it wasn't cleared by the FAA because of its proximity to an airport and its height restrictions. This very issue also plays a significant problem for the Coyotes and their new Tempe proposal. For the Cardinals, ultimately that plan failed and they decided to build their new venue, currently called State Farm Stadium, in, wait for it, Glendale, Arizona. Literally right across the street from Gila River Arena. It's crazy, isn't it? But Jeff, you ask, the Coyotes just played their last game inside Gila River Arena. Where are they going to play until their new rink gets approved and built? On February 10th, 2022, Arizona State University and the Coyotes announced a partnership that would see the team play at a 5,000-seat, yeah, that's right, you heard me correctly, a 5,000-seat arena until the 2024-25 NHL season. 5,000 is the listed capacity of the new ASU facility, but it's reported that it might be a little less than that because of the additional room needed to expand the needs of retrofitting for an NHL club. Because this deal came together in a matter of weeks, some alterations had to be made in order to have an NHL team play in such a small venue. These additions would add up to about $25 million, which the Coyotes will cover. Just recently, the Coyotes released a season seat holder price guide, and it's gone viral showing the price point of these seats. According to the guide, it shows that one end of the rink is closed off to seat sales, which immediately reminded me of the original Barn America West Arena. Both the Coyotes and Commissioner Bettman have come out selling the idea that this will be a win-win for hockey in the desert. Only a small step back in order to move forward. Now, if you're a Coyotes fan, you can view this as a win keeping the team in Arizona as they look for a new home. If you're an overall NHL fan, I mean, what do you think? The Coyotes always bear the brunt of a lot of jokes when it comes to NHL and hockey. And to be honest, rightfully so. One has to ask many valid questions like, through all the financial woes, embarrassments over the short time the Coyotes have been in the NHL, would the same commitment, dedication, and sacrifice be shown to other small market teams like the Jets, the Nordiques, the Thrashers? Would the NHL be willing to lose $112 million keeping any one of those franchises afloat? I know each of these scenarios have their own unique circumstances, but the question has to be asked, did the NHL exhaust all its resources trying to save the Jets from Winnipeg back in the 90s? I mean, in the end, the NHL did return back to Winnipeg. The Coyotes came into the league in '96, and in its short 26-year history, it's already filed for bankruptcy, numerous owners, endless news stories about financial woes, attendance issues, as well as highly publicized battles between its owners and the city of Glendale. It's a franchise that throughout its short history have fans, media, owners asking the obvious question, why is the NHL still in the desert? Is it a stubborn commissioner unwilling to give up a failing franchise? Is it a matter of being a presence in a market deemed too valuable to give up for the NHL? In 2003, the Coyotes moved into their new building, trying to gain ground on a team bleeding money. How will this new arena help out the franchise get out of their financial hole? At what point is a franchise too much of a liability/risk to move on? Sure, the Coyotes have a passionate fan base, but look at its track history. Is NHL hockey in a desert truly a viable option? And at the end of the day, at least right now, you have a team with no future home playing at a university hockey level facility, trying to keep things afloat. How do you attract talent on and off the ice to come to be a part of your organization? There's just so many logistics long term that just seem too much for a financially fragile organization like the Arizona Coyotes to overcome. Not to mention the financial stability of the team in the next few years when they try to play in a 5,000 seat arena. What if they can't even fill that arena? How much revenue can they possibly generate with such a small venue? What if the Coyotes strike gold and make a miracle cup run? Would the NHL actually host a Stanley Cup Finals series inside the 5,000 seat arena? Or would they have to try to patch things over with the city of Glendale in order to return to Gila River Arena? Now, through all of this, the concerns, the controversies, would I go to a game personally? Absolutely. I go to marvel at the spectacle that would be NHL hockey in a venue so small. I would genuinely be curious, what would they do for in-game entertainment? Would it be full? How would it sound? How would the ice look? There's just too much curiosity to not watch what unfolds in Arizona. But until they seal the deal on their new home, all eyes will be on the Coyotes to see if they play more seasons at ASU or just move on to another city entirely. Okay. That was a lot. Thanks for hanging in there and getting through all of that. But it's important to get as much knowledge out of this as you can in order to understand what might happen in the near future. All right, hockey fans and Coyote fans, time to sound off. What do you think happens? Leave all your comments down below. Do you think they stay longer? Do you think the team moves out of the city? Let your thoughts known down below. All right, that does it for this extremely long episode. Thanks for watching.